Hi guys, back once again. It is the Totally Magic channel and we have another mighty fine card trick for you today. I must start off by saying thank you very much indeed to all the people that have welcomed us back into their homes via this channel. I know we were away for a long time, but it really is great to be back, getting loads of messages from you guys, also through email. You've been sharing some ideas you've been having for routines and some card close-up effects, which I will be including on the channel throughout the rest of this year. Without further ado, we've got a trick for you today that can involve two people, and I actually quite like this because sometimes it's great doing a trick one-on-one to somebody, but sometimes they've got a friend with them and it's nice to involve someone else as well. So this one is for two people. Have you ever noticed how card players always shuffle their cards in an overhand fashion, whereas casinos tend to always do what's known as a riffle shuffle? Now, you may not know what a riffle shuffle is, but it's one of these where the cards interleave back and forth. They really shuffle up the cards by putting cards back and forth, and you see the way they're weaved together in the middle there. Now, some people just do a straightforward cut of a pack of cards like that. Now, I don't care how you shuffle the cards, but I'm going to get you to shuffle these cards for us. Now, the spectator is going to shuffle the cards, and they can do this in any fashion they like. Happy with those? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove a couple of cards from here before we start. These are my prediction cards. Now, I know most magicians predict way in advance, but I like to do it live as we're performing. So I'm going to leave those here. Now, as you know, a prediction could be something that's going to happen in 10 minutes time. It could be something that's going to happen in 2 weeks time. We'll leave them in full view. Now, in case you think I studied the cards that you shuffled, would either of you like to shuffle the cards again? And they can shuffle the cards again. Would you like to give the packet to your friend over here, and can you deal some cards? Because we're not going to use the whole pack. If you can deal some cards down here, say 15, maybe 20 to make it even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. The rest of the cards we don't need. So now we've got 20 cards. None of us know the order of those cards because you shuffled them and you dealt them. But I want you both to pick a random card. Now, when I say a random card, I mean an absolute random card. You see, the problem is, if I was to ask you, for example, to name a card, you often name cards that are high in value. So the aces, the kings, the queens. If I was to ask you to pick a card from this packet, most people think magicians force you to take a card from the top, the bottom or the middle. I want this to be totally random. So I come up with a method. If we use a card, that's a good card, the ace of spades, but we're going to use this as a marker card. And what I'd like you to do, sir, is to push this between two cards in that packet. Okay, just push them in between. Now, this is an absolute free choice. They can push the card anywhere they like. Happy with it there? You see, what I want you to do is I'd like you to remember the card that's directly behind the marker card. So if I just spread the cards, I'll even look away. Can you just remember that card that you see behind the marker card? Yeah. And you, sir, would you like to remember the card that's in front of the marker card? Now, both spectators have now remembered two cards. You go through the cards and they had a free choice of any of those. Now we come on to the bit where we're going to shuffle the cards. Now, I'd like to do the casino shuffle, that riffle shuffle, but it happens too quick. So I've decided to do it in slow motion. Just for you. Look at that. We're going to shuffle the cards back and forth, interleaving them cleanly and fairly. And you can see that quite happily. Let me just show you that. That really is weaved together. Okay? And we'll even give them a cut. How's that for a shuffle? And we'll turn to you, sir, and I'll do the same for you, but for you I'll even do it differently and I'll let you see the faces. So you can see the faces as I shuffle the cards in this kind of a slow motion riffle shuffle. I bet you've never seen it done like this before. But at least we know it's being thoroughly mixed up, and you can see that the shuffle is there. Once again, we cut the cards. Now at this stage, you can agree with me that nobody knows where your cards are. Now for me it's even harder because you two guys know what your cards are. I don't even know that, but we know they're in there somewhere. Finally, I'm going to get you to cut half the cards each, or roughly. In fact, we started with 20, didn't we? We added one. Let's get rid. Remember, we added this one, the ace of spades. We don't need that. Okay, so we'll put these down, and I'm going to get you to cut the cards. So you've both got about half. Just cut half the cards and put them there. That doesn't look bad. I think if you're spot on, you should have 10 cards. Should we check? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is incredible. I've been doing this trick for 20 years. I have never ever had somebody manage to cut exactly in half. There's the miracle right there. Anyway, let's get on with the trick. You see, at the start of this trick, before either of you chose a card, before we shuffled them, mixed them and lost them, I made 2 premonitions, and they've been here all the time. Now I picked out 2 certain values. I picked out a value of 6 and a value of 4. Why would I do that? Well, watch as we go through these cards here. 1, 2, 3. What was your card? There it is there. The Queen of Hearts. You, sir? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What was your card? The Queen of Spades. And there is the Queen of Spades. And there is a perfect double whammy prediction. Practice and enjoy that. So here is the tutorial for this particular trick. I think this is fantastic because you can borrow the cards. There's absolutely no setup involved at all. And the beauty of this is that it doesn't need a full deck. That means, like you've probably discovered yourself, whenever you go around to a friend's house and ask to borrow a pack of cards, they've always got an old pack of cards that's been in their kitchen drawer for 20 years with an elastic band around it, and it's never a full deck. They've always got a couple of cards missing. So this is an ideal situation. If you watch the routine, I'll give you the expose of how it works and what you have to do. But you'll notice at the start of the trick, why did I go on about how people shuffle? And there's a reason for that. As they say, a method behind the madness. As magicians watching this, you're all aware of the types of shuffles you have. The Hindu shuffle, the overhand shuffle, the pharaoh shuffle, the riffle shuffle. Those are second nature to us. But you have to remember, a lot of lay people don't handle cards every day of the week. And a lot of the younger generation would not know about a riffle shuffle. If you said a riffle shuffle, they may not have heard of that or don't even know what it means. Let me explain why I explain the riffle shuffle at the start. I go through and say some people overhand shuffle, casinos tend to do a riffle shuffle. Now when I do this, I leave it like this and I make a point of showing them this. Notice the way the cards go back and forth, back and forth. They weave, interleave together in the shuffle. Note those words I use, back and forth and interleave. I then say some people even cut the cards and I just pull those out like this. Now what I'm doing is setting up a move that I'm going to be doing later on in the performance. It'll all gel together in a moment. You'll understand why I did that. So I then give the cards to them and say, you shuffle them how you like. and they will do the shuffle. Now that's a genuine shuffle. When you take it back, you will remove 2 cards, a 6 and a 4. Okay, now you can do this trick by removing a 7 and a 3, and I'll explain why. If you're going to do 2 performances and someone that you've just done the trick to is in earshot, you may want to have a different outcome. But I always stick to 6 and 4. Okay, but it could be a 7 and 3. 6 and 4, put those to one side. Ask the audience if they want to shuffle the cards again, if they don't trust you. Then deal out 20 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. We then talk about, randomness. And so we grab a card from here. Now I've picked this Ace of Diamonds. And you say, we're going to use this as a marker card. And you give it to one of the spectators and say, can you push it between 2 cards? Now I use the term between 2 cards rather than insert it in the pack, because by saying insert it between 2 cards, I'm already preempting the fact that they're going to pick a card each, 2 cards. So they can push this anywhere they like into the pack, like that. Now once they've done that, you pick the cards up and you're going to show them what you want is one person to pick the card that's behind the marker card and the other person to pick the one directly in front. I just spread the cards, so this is this guy's card, yeah, the 10 of hearts. The other person is going to remember the 4 of hearts, so they got the 10 of hearts and the 4 of hearts. They're the 2 cards on this tutorial. As you gather the card, just flick this card over where it is. Now you come to this move. Now you've probably seen, if you own lots of packing effects and card tricks, you'll know that there's this move, and this move I hate because it involves you pushing forward, back, forward, back, forward, back. To me, there's no reason on earth why you would do this. People would not do this with real cards in a real game. It's only magicians that do this. So I didn't like that. I want to give an explanation as to why are you doing this, because otherwise some people in the audience might kind of put 2 and 2 together that the trick has to do this because it's some sort of mathematical thing. So I came up with this idea that what if I pretended it was a riffle shuffle in slow motion? Now you may disagree and just say, no, it's fine doing that, so you can perform it how you want. But for me, I say to them, I'm going to shuffle them using that riffle shuffle, but I want to do it so you can actually see the cards interleaving back and forth. And then I go forward, always forward on the first one, back, forward, back, and you go through the cards saying, I'm now doing a riffle shuffle slow motion. You can now see why I demonstrated the various shuffles at the start, because if somebody didn't know what the term riffle shuffle meant, this means absolutely nothing to them. So now they know. The important thing here, of course, you haven't shuffled these cards. When you show them, the layperson just thinks you have. You've done a riffle shuffle. There they are, interleaved, back and forth, there. Then you just slide out the forward facing cards and say, and we'll even give them a cut. You pull these out and put them to the bottom. Now you're going to repeat that exact same move for the other person. Now because I didn't want it to be too boring for them, in this instance I actually face the cards towards them and say, here you can actually see the faces of them interleaving back and forth. And so you're doing this. Remind them not to say anything as you go through shuffling these, and once again you're in this situation. Don't get me wrong, if someone sat here and studied this, they would put 2 and 2 together and think, well, you're not really cutting the cards apart and weaving them together, so you're fooling them. But you're in performance. No one's going to sit and dissect what you're doing. There it is there. It's a great convincer. You then cut the cards again and put these to the bottom. Everything is done. The only thing you've got to do is one slight move now before you cut the cards. Say to them, we started with 20 cards. Oh, hang on, we did add one. In that afterthought, you flip these over and you're going to look for that card that you used as your indicator, your marker card. There it is there. Now watch what happens when you do this and pull this out. You've got to push one more card across, okay, like that. So you're taking this, you can put this down. Now you're going to do a cut. These cards that were at the bottom are now going to go on the top. So just to recap, you've done two things there. You pushed the extra card across to be part of this packet, and then you cut the cards. All of that is done cleanly because you were just removing that marker card. That's it. Everything is done, it's self-working. You put this down, you then get them to cut the cards, and you kind of take it as a game to say how close can you get to halfway. Now it doesn't matter if they do it badly, as long as it's reasonable, okay, you can be quite a few cards out. Because of my predictions are a 6 and a 4, you can't be left with less than 4 cards in a packet, okay. So now you've got to reverse this lower packet, and that's quite simple because you say, let's see how well you did. How many cards did you leave yourself? Count these one at a time back to the table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not bad, you say to them, but it doesn't matter. You now get the predictions out. The 6 will go in front of this one and the 4 in front of this one. Now the final part is it all self-work. 1, 2, 3, 4. There is their card, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there is their card. So the 2 cards come up automatically. I think it's a great trick. It's not a 2-minute quick trick, so if people are in a rush, then you probably don't want to perform this. But I always say at a family gathering, in a restaurant, just take your time, deliver it at a nice steady pace, don't rush through it. There's a lot happening here, and it makes it interesting as well to the audience, rather than just you take a card and I know what it is type effect. Have a play around with that. I'm sure you'll adapt it to suit your own presentation style, but as usual, do stick with us, give us a thumbs up, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Totally magic. We'll be back soon.